The battle at Arlington. So as we alluded to before I knew it was a topic for later, two members of Donald Trump's campaign staff had a verbal and physical altercation on Monday with an official at Arlington National Cemetery, where Trump participated in a wreath laying ceremony. So we touched on that. Trump's a dick. His people suck. Holy shit. A source with knowledge of the incident says that the cemetery official tried to prevent Trump staffers from filming and photographing in a Section 60 where recent U.S. casualties are buried. So basically, they had to be explicitly told what is and isn't disrespectful inside of a cemetery where great reverence is expected. So when the cemetery official tried to prevent the Trump campaign staff from entering the Section 60, campaign staff verbally abused and pushed the official aside. What a good fucking harbinger for the future. That's totally the man you want in charge and the staff you want backing him up. So Stephen Chung, the Trump campaign spokesman, issued a statement where he strongly rejected the notion of a physical altercation, adding, quote, "We are prepared to release footage if such defamatory claims are made. The fact that a private photographer was permitted on the premises and for whatever reason, an unnamed individual clearly suffering from a mental health episode decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony."
Yeah, they look solemn.
Yeah, I mean, like Ty, again, as you spoke earlier about your experience at Arlington, it's not the place for photo ops. I mean, there's a reason they even have the rule in place. Obviously, you're not going to get prosecuted for violating the rule for of no photography. But the physical assault incident, absolutely, someone should be prosecuted for that, even if it only ends up being a misdemeanor. But yeah,
also his rule, his fucking defense that like he was allowed to be in the whole cemetery, so like why can't we do whatever the fuck we want?
Just because someone's allowed in the cemetery doesn't mean they get to violate the rules. And there's a reason why, like these people fought for our country, died in service, they're buried at the cemetery. They don't have the opportunity to speak for themselves in terms of whether or not they want to be used for a photo op for a political candidate. That's why the rule's in place. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. And if a Democrat had done anything like this, especially with the accusation of like assault against one of the staff, it would be the fucking headline on Fox News for like a month. It'd be like Obama's tan suit. And then, the allegations about the incident are probably true because after that, I believe the Trump campaign put out the video from the cemetery, and we have the TikTok video of the Trump campaign ad right here.
Oh, good. Let's watch it. I don't watch enough stupid videos.
We lost 13 great people. What a horrible day it was. We didn't lose one person in 18 months. And then they took over that disaster, the leaving of Afghanistan.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he only does this shit if it's for a photo op. Like, he's not going to go anywhere that he can't take pictures and video of and post it on the internet. And we know this because he hasn't been to Arlington in 2 years.
Yes, now it is politically expedient.
Yep. And he used it for a photo op, and it's embarrassing, and people should be disgusted with his behavior. Obviously, we reiterated a number of Trump's issues earlier, and like, if that doesn't do it for you, this probably won't either.
Or the fact that, he doesn't give a shit about those 13 people. How many people did he leave to fucking die? And is that like
63 people died in Afghanistan during his presidency.
So was he talking about 18 months? We didn't lose anyone. How many before 18 months? Did you have a brief lull while you weren't
He's talking about the 18 months before the withdrawal, some of which he wasn't even president. But it's weird that he's blaming Biden for any of the issues on the ground in Afghanistan during the withdrawal, which Trump was responsible for negotiating. But
I know, I get that. It's all these are all bad faith accusations. I'm just saying.
What people don't bring up enough is the fact that he didn't negotiate the withdrawal from Afghanistan with the Afghan government. He negotiated with the Taliban. And no one's ever given us any explanation as to why that happened. But here is one of Trump's former appointees explaining how Trump is responsible largely for part of the disaster that took place during that massive withdrawal.
But Trump had his hand on, I mean, does Trump bear part of the responsibility for what happened?
Oh, yes. I mean, so the whole premise of talking to the Taliban before you leave Afghanistan, why the heck were we even doing that? You know,
he was going to invite them to Camp David.
Right. Even the Obama administration, when they made the mistake of pulling all of our troops out of Iraq in 2010, which really set conditions for the rise of ISIS and so forth by 2014, the Obama administration didn't negotiate with al-Qaeda in Iraq on the way out. And so if we were going to leave, why not just leave? What happened in these series of negotiations and concessions to the Taliban is we kind of threw the Afghans onto the bus on the way out.
And they cut the Afghan government out of those negotiations, right?
Absolutely. So that was mistake one. Then forced them to release 5,000 of some of the most heinous people on earth, and then began
the Trump
to
administration
withdraw.
forced the Afghan government to release 5,000 Taliban.
Correct. And then also stop the active targeting of the Taliban, which President Trump, again, to his credit in 2017, had restored because he was convinced, like, how the heck does this make any sense? To give your enemy a timeline for your withdrawal and then say, now I'm going to negotiate a favorable settlement? I mean...
So it raises the question...
And that's probably why Trump was on Truth Social suggesting that he was going to fire all of the generals and replace them with MAGA nut jobs earlier today. So if you don't want that, if you don't want like 5-star General Roger Stone and Admiral Paul Manafort, vote for Kamala Harris.
Speaking of people who suck, we got Moby Dickhead. Good one, D.
You don't know who that is if you're listening, but you're going to find out in just a second.
Yeah, so RFK Jr. suspended his presidential bid last week and proceeded to endorse Trump thereafter, and having secretly lobbied for a position in both the Trump and Harris administration. I guess maybe one of them reacted more favorably to having a fucking lunatic on their team. So after filing paperwork to have his name removed from the ballot in numerous swing states, Michigan Secretary of State and Wisconsin State Election Board both noted that once a candidate has filed the nomination paperwork and qualifies to appear on the ballot, they can't be removed. I guess if Trump was so nervous that he asked him to drop out, they're pretty sure that he's only pulling votes away from Trump.
Or more Trump voters than not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but on Monday, didn't he file to be on the ballot in Kentucky?
Yeah, it's extraordinarily weird where he does and doesn't want to be on the ballot. Obviously,
well, he said he wants to get like some certain percent. He's hoping to get enough percentage to get funding, but
the federal matching funds if you get X amount of percentage of votes. But I mean, it's
like, why don't we just pay him in dead whales and bears?
We'll get to that.
So an environmental group is also calling for a federal investigation into an episode in which RFK Jr. allegedly severed the head off of a whale that washed ashore with a chainsaw. He then proceeded to drive home with it strapped to his car's roof. So he decided to fucking take a head home, severed head of a whale.
I love some head, but not like that.
Roadhead. Driving the animal across the Massachusetts state line to New York could be a violation of the Lacey Act, a Wildlife Conservation Act. It's also illegal to possess part of any animal protected under the Endangered Species Act. And he brought it across state lines, which could bring it under federal jurisdiction. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there.
There you go. And immediately after the announcement of this incident, here we have Trump praising RFK Jr.
Right now, 3 days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We're very proud. Thank you.
So fucking orange.
We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person. and he's going to do a lot of great things.
So
I have no
high
doubt
energy.
about it. He's got some very good ideas, some ideas that people weren't listening to. It's turned
His
out
eyes
to
are
be
very
right.
puffy, like someone who's been crying.
Yeah, clearly the endorsement strategy from RFK Jr. isn't working out well. If he's still on the ballot in these swing states that Trump needs, and that's possibly going to hurt Trump's chances of winning. He's gonna accidentally reverse Jill Stein.
Good. Good.
Yeah, this story about RFK Jr. finding this whale on the beach and cutting off the head with a chainsaw. It's fucking insane. Like this is even. I mean, I don't know
Why
if
did he have a chainsaw at the ready?
oh man, like probably because he's some kind of serial killer from one of those movies from the 70s. I don't know, but like
And it sounds like he's got a record of like collecting and disemboweling and dumping corpses of various animals. It's only been a couple weeks for me hearing about it, but so far I've already heard two as we're digging up dirt.
I saw this guy on Twitter where he posted a tweet saying he's never leaving Twitter, and he was quoting a tweet from like a decade ago when he was like, I can't understand for the life of me why there's a dead bear corpse in the middle of Central
Are
Park.
you serious?
Yeah,
Wow.
he posted it as it happened in real time, never got the answer. And then when we all discovered as a nation that RFK Jr. dumped that bear corpse in the fucking park, he was like, yeah, and that shit took off. It was hilarious. But look,
Wow, that's crazy.
obviously, this is the behavior of someone who consumes copious amounts of drugs. I don't know what drugs RFK Jr. is currently doing.
Not the good ones.
Yeah, I think he gave up like the heroin or something in the back in the day. It's also been reported that he's where did he go? Harvard? No, Yale. Went to Yale. Yale Law School. Anyway, wherever he went to college, it's been reported that he possibly
Harvard.
Harvard allegedly was a cocaine dealer.
I didn't even question it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, all right, it's hard to argue. It's like with JD Vance, like it doesn't matter what the allegations are at this point; they're all going to stick because there's nothing you could say. Yeah, nothing sounds unbelievable.
That's a big issue I try to explain mostly to children about the concept of credibility and how you can earn it, but once you lose it, you can't really earn it back.
Yeah,
you're always going to be questioned. Someone's always they might like, but in their mind, they're like, do I believe this shit? Like, probably not. Or what? Like, it's not going to go away. It's that stink on you.
And that's the thing that forever. Liars never think about. Like, if they try to confront an honest person, then they're like, well, you forgot that if you say it's my word against yours, people will believe me because I don't lie. You are a liar. Like that's
unless you're in a cult.
Yeah.
And that's what you bank on, that the people that, they're in a cult. Then
you mean like the Republican Party?
Yes.
Bingo.
Or the remains thereof.
Speaking of credibility, it's crazy that like after all of these years, like every time Trump says something, the media just reports it as though it's fact until proven otherwise, when we know largely everything he says is a lie. Because he has an endless track record of just saying nothing but utter nonsense and lies. So maybe in most people's cases, credibility is difficult to earn, but like the media just piles heaps of credibility on Trump, regardless of how many times it's been proven that he doesn't deserve it. I wish they would stop. But, I can't control the media. All I can do is this fucking podcast and tweet on my little Twitter account to 300,000 people and hope I make a tiny little difference, drop in the bucket, all that good stuff.